Welcome back to the I Don't Want a Divorce podcast. I'm glad you're here. With God's help and His power and His truth, we do our best to save marriages in crisis. And we also help those who have gone through an unwanted divorce. This is a whole new, well, not new. I've been doing this for 30 plus years, helping people who have gone through divorce. But now we have a brand new book that kind of distills and presents my material in terms of recovery from divorce. I didn't want a divorce. Now what? And these podcasts are now, this series, based on my new book. Divorce, every single divorce, even a divorce that needed to happen, is a traumatic and devastating experience. Your life is shattered, and you need a proven plan of action to heal, recover, forgive, and move on with confidence into your new life. Society could care less about divorce, and so it's no big deal, and we're getting along so well, and the kids are fine. Baloney. You got to rebuild. It's always awful and traumatic. That's the truth. If you've been through it, you know that. I have a divorce recovery plan for you. It's in my brand new book. I just showed you. I didn't want a divorce. Now what? Can't show the book enough. I didn't want a divorce. Now what? See, look at that killer cover. Phil Dugas of Dugas Creative, D-U-G-A-S, came up with that cover. If you're divorced or you know someone who is, and there's millions of folks that are divorced and need this book, I recommend it highly. Of course, I wrote it. Of course, I'm going to like it. So on my website, David E. Clarke, Clarke with an A, davideclarkephd.com. Now you'll see all my resources on my Phil Dugas created website, Dugas Creative. Books, videos, podcasts, my YouTube channel, my Focus on the Family video interviews. They've been very good to me. Love Focus on the Family. My phone advice service, all on my website. If you want to talk to me about your situation, marital crisis, or maybe you're divorced and you're trying to recover, then you can use my phone advice service. It costs the same as an in-person session. You just email me, David E. Clarke, Clarke with an E, David E. Clarke, PhD @gmail.com. We usually set it up by email. No big deal. You call in a few minutes early. I get your credit card information, run it. We talk for 45 minutes. It's helping a lot of folks across the country. Now, today's topic may not be well received. Very few, if any, single divorced persons want to hear this message, but they need to hear it. If you're a regular listener to my podcast, audio or video, you know that I don't worry about upsetting and offending people. This describes most of my career. If I'm speaking about what I believe to be the truth, biblical truth, that's all I care about. Chips will fall. My mom, Kathleen Clarke, who's now in heaven, died almost a year ago now in April, was the same way. She was very caring, but she was also blunt, direct, and honest. She was an RN for years. She could handle any crisis situation. She always spoke the truth. That's where I learned my style. Mom would tell me, Dave, if you speak the truth, some people will be offended, have a fit, be angry at you. Whatever, so be it. Like it matters. The truth, she would say, the truth needs to be expressed. Let the chips fall where they may, we move on. Now, today's topic is this: stay single until you fully recover from your divorce. Most singles don't do that. They rush into a new relationship and it becomes a disaster. I don't want that for you. God doesn't want that for you. Almost no one wants to hear this message. Almost no one does it. You can be the exception. I hope you will be. Take the 3 to 5 months it takes to go through this book. That's why I wrote it. I didn't want a divorce. Now what? Take the time. You'll get through, you'll heal, and then you'll be free to date and remarry and be in good shape to do so. So if you're single and you've not fully recovered from your divorce, and most people frankly haven't, this podcast is for you. And time alone doesn't heal you. Time plus the right steps of recovery heals you. Now, if you know someone, a brother, a sister, an adult child, an adult grandchild, a friend who is single and not recovered from a divorce, let them also know about this podcast. Now, if you're single and you have fully recovered from your divorce, by working through my book, of course, I Didn't Want a Divorce, you can date. You're ready, but I only want you to date a growing Christian, all right? This is, if you would say, Dave, I think I'm ready. I've seen a therapist. My pastor. I think I'm healed. Okay, make sure. This book will help you make sure. But if you're ready, only date a growing Christian. Someone in love with Jesus, sold out, committed. There aren't many of those out there, but that's the one you want. And of course, you got to be that person too. Back when my 3 girls, Emily, Leanne, and Nancy, were dating back in high school, I said, look, girls, and I was serious. They're Christians. They're walking with the Lord. I said, don't bring any punks to this home who aren't growing Christians, because you ain't going to date them as long as you're in my home. And they never did. It could be, Daddy, I've had a lot of dads will say, Daddy, the little girl talking, Daddy, Timmy's not a Christian. Then you're not dating Timmy. Daddy, Timmy's a Christian, but he doesn't go to church. I have no use for Timmy. Don't bring him to my home. Daddy, Timmy will go to church with us. He doesn't know Jesus, but he'll go to church with us. I'll bet he will. No missionary dating. Done. Make sure, if you're single and an adult, that you only date the best. Not someone who says he's a Christian or says he's a Christian. You want evidence of this. Now, let me tell you why I don't want you to date until you have fully recovered from your divorce. Here are the reasons. I don't just say it. I want to tell you why. If your spouse divorced you for a non-biblical reason, or you divorced your spouse for a biblical reason, as we heard in previous podcasts, you are free to remarry. You are. God's only condition is that you marry a Christian. 1 Corinthians 7:39. So even though you are allowed biblically to date and remarry, I don't want you to do either until you've completed my divorce recovery plan. My client was married to an abusive wife. After years of tolerating her damaging behavior, see, women can be abusers too. He had enough, he tried everything, and he divorced her. Felt released by God, divorced her. I helped him get strong enough to leave her. I helped him get through the nasty divorce process. As he and I began my divorce recovery plan, I urged him not to date. He didn't listen to me. So many don't listen to Dr. Clarke, and they end up paying for it. I know some things. He met a divorced lady and fell in love very quickly. I mean, boom, which is often the case because you're hurting so bad and it feels so good. He told me she said she was a Christian. Well, can you believe that? Make sure. He was moving like a freight train. He stopped seeing me and dove headfirst into this new relationship. 6 months after meeting her, he married her. I said, don't do that. He did it. 6 months after the wedding, he was back in my office, sobbing. He said he should have listened to me. He realized he had moved too quickly with this new woman. No question. The new marriage was filled with pain, conflict, and misunderstandings. You won't be surprised to hear this. Turned out she was not actually a Christian. She said she was. She wasn't. Turned out she had an explosive temper. Turned out she hated his kids. Turned out he had married someone a lot like his ex. Bad idea. He hadn't recovered. I could have said I told you so, but that wouldn't have done any good. I got him back into my divorce recovery plan, and he did his work, 3 to 5 months, did his work to heal and recover. That was the good news. Sadly, his new wife, who was also abusive, like his ex, refused to work on her issues. No big shock there. He had to separate from her, and after 3 months of waiting for her to repent, gave her every opportunity, and try to win him back, he divorced her. All the additional pain and another divorce were the last things he needed. The moral of the story, listen to Dr. Clarke. Would you just listen to me? Actually, that's true, but the moral of the story, the real moral is, don't date until you are fully recovered from your divorce. I'm telling you, don't do it. I don't want you to end up like my client. You've had enough pain, thank you. You don't need any more, especially when you can avoid it. Here are my reasons not to date until you have finished my book and all of my steps of recovery. The I Didn't Want to Divorce Now What book. My plan requires your total focus. It's not an easy plan. None of my plans are. They're tough. They work, but they're tough. You have serious hard work to do to heal, build a new identity, deal effectively with your ex and your children, and get your life on track. You can't date and do all this work at the same time. You can't. I've seen it done, but it's incredibly difficult. My plan will take 3 to 5 months, maybe more, and none of it is easy. When you're done, then you'll be healthy and good to date. Second reason, you'll choose the wrong person. You, like my client, you absolutely will. High percentage chance that you will. Frying pan to the fire. Because you have not recovered from your divorce, you are highly likely to choose the wrong new person to date and maybe even marry. As my client did, you may select a new partner who is a lot like your ex. You don't want that. You're done with the ex, and for good reason. You know what's far worse than being single and lonely? Marrying the wrong person. Believe me. Without recovery, you are wounded and vulnerable and needy. Absolutely you are. You're desperate for affection, for someone to find you attractive, for someone to care, for someone to make you happy. You know what? Your needs haven't been met for years because the old marriage was bad. You're just one big walking around need. For all these reasons, you are not able to think clearly. It's incredibly easy to choose the wrong new partner. I've seen it happen 1,000,000 times. And even if you do somehow choose a terrific person who is good for you, which I've seen happen, your lack of recovery will cause you to gum up the new relationship. It's still going to be a problem. Third reason, a new relationship is a distraction. Falling in love or into infatuation is a powerful and intense experience. When you have been through an unwanted divorce, the power and intensity is tripled. Because your marriage and divorce were so painful, you want this new relationship to be perfect and to help you forget your pain. So you go all in and do all you can to make your new relationship great. You focus on that to the exclusion of all else. With all your time and energy poured into your new romance, your divorce recovery is put on the back burner. Actually, it's shoved off the stove. You see, you think your new solution is your new partner. No, it's not true. The solution is your recovery process. Next reason, all your unresolved pain transfers to your new partner. You don't want it to, it does. All of your unresolved pain connected to your ex, all of it transfers to your new partner. And that is a universal truth. Not some of the time, all of the time. Psychological truth. All your ex pain is now on your new partner. So when he says or does something to hurt you, your new partner, it's as if your ex said or did it. You experience this current hurt plus all the hurt connected to your ex. Double whammy. You know what that causes you to do? It causes you to react very intensely to your new partner because the current hurt plus the previous hurt. It's an overreaction driven by your unresolved pain. And until you clean out your unresolved pain, you will continue to overreact. The overreactions will never stop, and they'll tear and rip at the new relationship. So if you're not dating anyone now, good. Don't start until you're through my divorce recovery process. Take the 3 to 5 months. I want you to wear a t-shirt with one of these slogans. We sell them here at the ministry. I hate men. That's good. I'm not available. Don't even think about asking me out. Or here's a favorite. It's a bestseller. My boyfriend is a Hell's Angel. Okay, I'm kidding. We don't have these t-shirts, but you want to give off the vibe, not available, not ready, working on myself. So don't go to places where you'd meet people. You're not ready yet. You can also, don't wash your hair, don't use deodorant, and wear dumpy clothes. I'm kidding. Look, just be careful here. Don't date until you're recovered. If you are dating casually, but there was no one special in your life, stop dating, focus on my plan. If you're engaged, you're listening, you say, Dave, look, I hear what you're saying. I don't think I'm recovered, from my divorce, but I'm engaged to someone. This is my right person, okay? If you believe you found the right person and you're engaged, I recommend you stay in the relationship, but get your work done. Go through my divorce recovery steps with your fiance's full involvement and support. He'll be a key member of your support team. Okay, that's fair if this is the right person. When you're done, ask your fiance, if he's divorced, to go through my recovery plan as well. You will support him as he does the work. Very important that both people recover. If one doesn't, you got a problem. If he refuses to do my program, break the engagement. I'm not kidding. He's not the right guy for you. If he says no, you don't mean that much to him, frankly, and all of his unresolved pain will transfer to you. He'll try to tell you, no, I'm recovered, I'm fine. No. Until you've done the work, you're not recovered. That's why I wrote the book. If you've remarried, follow the same procedure I just recommended for the engaged person. Okay, fair enough. You're now in a new marriage. God wants to bless it. You do the recovery work with your spouse's support, and then he does it, if he's divorced, with your support. If your spouse refuses to do his recovery work, try the plan in my book, Married But Lonely. Since you're married, you won't leave him, but try Married But Lonely. If that book's plan doesn't get his attention and lead to real change, then get my book, My Spouse Wants Out, and follow those tough love steps. I've got a book for everything, I'm just telling you. Now, you can help us grow our audience and have a bigger impact by leaving a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. Obviously, a good review. This will help us grow our audience and have more of an impact. So at this point in this podcast series based on I Didn't Want a Divorce, Now What? I've laid the foundation for your recovery. All these steps are important. It's time now to start moving your life from chaos, which divorce creates, to order. And we'll begin that in my next podcast.